Welcome to discussion. Today's discussion is about identity and how it motivates the actions of the characters in Kingdom Hearts. It's going to be a little denser and maybe more metaphysical than some of our other discussions, and you may be saying, Phil, you're reading way too hard into Kingdom Hearts. And you'd probably be right, but that's not going to stop me, so here we go. So, what is an identity? Let's pop over to the dictionary to help us define it. According to Merriam-Webster, identity is the qualities, beliefs, etc. that make a particular person or group different from others. That's actually a pretty good definition. It's how you know the difference between you and everyone else. It's made up of your personality, your experiences, the way you see the world, and the way you see yourself. Identity is really important in Kingdom Hearts. A lot of what the characters do and say comes from it. They may be trying to live up to or change the person that they want to be, and that motivates how they move forward. By acknowledging the aspects of themselves that they want to hide or emphasize, we get a better feel for what it is that drives them. We also understand the way that they look at others more, because the values people hold themselves to have a huge effect on what they expect from other people. At the same time, when a character is unsure of their identity, it can lead to a lot of interesting developments. A character may act in an uncharacteristic way, and characters we considered good or bad may switch sides in an effort to change themselves, even if it means going against what they used to believe in. A lot of characters in Kingdom Hearts have dubious goals or act against their allies because they're working towards a larger goal and they believe that the end will justify the means, and they're willing to sacrifice what they used to be to do it. This is how the characters in Kingdom Hearts develop. By having their identities challenged, having to prove to each other and to themselves their true nature, they evolve and change, showing bravery, cowardice, strength, weakness, friendship, rejection. So now we know what an identity is. Let's explore a couple of specific aspects that have come up in the last 2 episodes. Let's start with names. You have one, presumably. In most Western cultures, your name is given to you by your parents, and while you don't choose it, you grow up hearing it and associating it with yourself. For some people, that name may have good or bad attachments. Some people change their names later in life, because they want to leave behind some aspect of what their original name reminds them of, or if they simply have another one that they feel fits them better. Over the past 2 videos, Xehanort, Squall, Ansem the Wise, all his apprentices, and Lee and Isa have all changed their names. Xehanort changed his name to Ansem because he was confused about his own identity and wanted to take Ansem's place. Ansem the Wise, in turn, changed his name not only because his had been stolen, but to show his new viewpoint and feelings about himself as well. Squall left his name behind because he feels like he failed his homeworld, that he didn't deserve to be Squall anymore. As for the nobodies, they feel like even though they look the same, they're not who they used to be. They jumble up their own names, rejecting their prior identities because they feel they have to redefine themselves. I think that's actually something a lot of us can relate to. Back in 1998, I used the screen name XXSquallXX online. As hardcore of a username as that was, I grew out of it pretty quickly. I've gone through 3 or 4 online handles as I've grown up, and I think a lot of people can relate. Bonus game. Put your most embarrassing online handle from your childhood in the comments. Let's all share the shame. Another aspect Kingdom Hearts explores is identity in terms of one's body. A person's body, and even their clothing as an extension of that, can be an important part of who they are. And just like names, people often make changes to their body to match their inner self more. For nobodies, having bodies similar to or even the same as their old one is a reminder of what they've lost, making them feel closer to their past selves but always knowing that there's something missing. Later in the series, Ansem the Wise will claim that the nobodies have no value, no right to exist at all, because they don't have hearts, even though they have bodies or memories. For the nobodies themselves, their bodies have a very high value. Rather than going back to their old selves, they want to become whole and new on their own. Their body and memories, even if they feel borrowed or fake, are important to them. That idea is incredibly important because it tells us something about Xehanort as well. Xehanort places 0 value on his own body. He sees it merely as a vessel for his heart and soul, and so when he thinks he can trade up, he's more than happy to abandon his form. He seeks Terra's body when his begins to grow frail, and then as Ansem Seeker of Darkness, he again looks to abandon his body to become one with the darkness to understand it better. He's only going to look for a new one again when he has a need for a physical body, at which point he's going to have a chat with our boy Riku. Xehanort's identity is, of course, the most complex one we've seen so far. He took over Terra's body, but his heart, and even part of Master Ericus's, still resides within. This meant Xehanort couldn't take over completely, and there are conflicting feelings and personalities dueling for control. This has a massive effect on his behavior going forward. In addition, his memories get wiped to some extent after the fight with Aqua. Memory, of course, being a major ingredient in our identity soup, but this is an important detail. As sort of a blank slate, Xehanort is able to learn from Ansem the Wise. It actually could have been a chance to stop him from falling to the darkness again, but in the end his latent personality began to come out, and we all know how things ended up then. Things get interesting when Xehanort splits up though. Ansem retains more of Xehanort personality, and Xemnas more of Terra's personality. This is really going to show clearly later on. Although Xemnas is going to be an antagonist to Sora, it's really interesting to see the ways in which he is softer and more kind than his heartless counterpart. This theme of identity is not incidental. The games are asking us questions about our own sense of self. Who are you? What's important to you? What aspects of yourself define you? The game is challenging your own idea of identity, offering several widely different viewpoints on the topic. This is going to continue to be an important theme going forward, so I want you guys to keep thinking about how the characters see themselves and how that might be affecting what they're doing. We're especially going to see it a lot with Riku coming up. He has the identity tested and he's going to make some unfortunate decisions trying to become who he thinks he should be. We're going to see plenty of this with the Disney characters too, with people like Tarzan, Aladdin, Jack Skellington, and Ariel all struggling with ideas of who they are and what's expected of them. And who knows, maybe along the way you'll figure out a little bit more about yourself too. Thanks for watching Discussion. If you have any questions, counterpoints, examples, or comments, please feel free to leave them below. You can also catch me on Twitter or Tumblr. See you soon!